Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Tales from the Longbox. I'm joined by Paul Davis and Danny Wade. Say hi, guys.
Hello,
Hi, guys.
This episode, we're going to touch base again on King in Black, some of the DC Future State stuff, and we'll talk a little bit about a few Image comics. At this moment, though, let me remind you that we are on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you're listening to us on a podcast, tell somebody else about this podcast. And if you'll check out the show notes or the show description, we'll have a lot of links down in the description to our website and to our YouTube channel and to our other podcast, World Class Nerd. If you like, science fiction and things like that, you should probably be listening to that podcast as well. So you'll find all those links in the description. So without further ado, let's talk about some comics. King in Black, let's just start there because we're going to talk a lot about the King in Black. Number 3. Paul, your thoughts?
Wow. Lots of things happen. That's about all I can say is just wow. I'm going to let Danny's got the background. Danny's the Spider-Man fandom guy. You just take this, man. Run with it because I can't do it justice.
it's fantastic. Keeps getting better.
Wow.
Okay,
I was expecting a little more detail there. Yeah.
Oh,
all right.
God.
So Thor, we got Thor making his big debut. Everybody's been kind of waiting for Thor to show up.
What a great time for him to show up.
Yeah. Was anybody expecting Thor to do better than he did, or?
I actually was. I mean, he has the Odin Force now. I mean, I know the King in Black Null is from before the start of time. I mean, he is before the universe started. Probably him and Galactus were rubbing elbows at some time when this universe started, But they allude to him even being before Galactus's universe, which was before this universe. But still, Odin Force, Thor's hammer. I mean, he did some damage, but I expected him to probably be enough to go toe-to-toe with him. But
Well, yes and no. Because, it was cool that he knocked Noel's jaw off. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I think Thor was kind of a setup as to the big character that come in there at the very end that's going to do some damage.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of think, people were getting ready for Thor to wipe up with him. But I'm kind of glad he didn't because I like the way this issue ended, issue 3.
Oh, I do too. The reason, we can just say it, Silver Surfer, the not Silver Surfer. The reason he is not silver is that he gave up some of his power and his silver coating to fight Null while they were racing through time. So he's got history with not beating Null, but getting away from Null.
And And he seems to be pretty confident coming in there.
Well, he's the freaking Silver Surfer too. I mean, they don't get too much bigger than Thor or Silver Surfer going at this guy,
That's why I like it. Thor not quite getting it done because of this setup.
Well, there's Thor not quite getting it done, and then there's Thor getting stabbed through the back with a sword that could potentially kill him. That's a different story than Thor didn't get it done. Look, the guy ripped Sentry in half. Now he stabs Thor with a sword that potentially could kill him. Is he going to put some more notches on his belt before this thing is done?
There's a whole lot still left. We had 2 Sentinels fighting 2 Sentinels.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like what Tony Stark did. That was pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
We took control of the Sentinel.
Make it whatever he wants, he says.
Yep.
So, Tony, that's a nice callback to the Extremis storyline with
and Artemis. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely to pull out all the stops because extremists just about killed Tony and anybody else that had anything to do with it. The last time it came around. So now he's riding that extremist dragon, which has become an extremist sentinel. Yeah, that's a lot.
These are battles after great battles.
We mean, are we saying sentinels? Do we mean?
I may have said it wrong.
I'm sorry. Did I say sentinels? I meant.
No, I think I said it.
Oh, okay.
Celestials. Yeah.
Celestials. Yeah, I think I said it wrong, and I thought, yeah, Celestials. Excuse me.
I thought maybe I joined the wrong room and talking X-Men.
You didn't read this book, man.
So, who is Surfer talking about? Because Surfer is narrating a lot of this issue, and he's talking about the equal and opposite. There's Null, who is the dark, and there is an equal and opposite god of the light. Who is he talking about? I don't think he's talking about himself.
I don't think we know yet.
No, I don't think we know yet.
But I kind of thought leading up to this, there's something going on with that. There's a yin and yang. There's a light and dark. There's a balance here. And I thought with Eddie Brock being dead, Venom, may or may not be gone, but still there's a balance. There was always a balance. Him and Carnage, it's a balance. So I thought something had to do with that.
Any thoughts on who that might be?
There are so many characters thrown into this. I'm not sure yet.
Hip the Troll.
The Beyonder. I'm going with the Beyonder.
Oh no.
Bring him back. Aunt May. It's Aunt May.
Oh.
And the show's over. I'm leaving.
One May above them all.
Yeah. All right, and that ends our talk on King in Black. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. This is over. I'm done.
Looks like, as we kind of speculated, next week has a lot of tie-ins, and there's a lot more tie-ins coming up. Very light this week because, again, as we speculated, this was a big issue, and I think they wanted this to kind of stand alone and carry the week by itself. So also this week there were a number of DC Future State comics that hit. We kind of broke them up. I think I ended up reading them all, but you guys kind of took some specifics, I think. Paul, What did you read from Future State this week?
Well, I read them all, but I wanted to talk about, based on my background here, Shazam #1. Last week I waxed poetic about Shazam #1. I was looking forward to it because it would be light and happy and
innocent. I believe was the word.
Good old call back to old time comic. Well, boy, was I wrong. In this issue, Shazam is leading a broken off splinter team of the Titans, kind of. It looks like they're working in old Detroit, and right off the bat, it shows Shazam acting funny, having nightmares, just not being himself. And spoiler alert, it's revealed that at some point, Neuron, if I'm saying that right, Necron, the underworld lord, is trying to get into the Rock of Eternity, where there's some prisoners being held, and Shazam and Billy Batson are split. And Billy's soul is left chained to the Rock of Eternity is like a security system, a big master lock, and Shazam is released into the world without his innocence tied to him. And he basically starts going to the dark side. They haven't given, you can tell that there's something bothering him because he keeps having nightmares about this. You can tell that going to the dark side he might be trying to fight it, but for some reason he's killing and he's dark.
He's not just killing. let's be specific. He's killing heroes.
Yes.
He's not just a guy who goes off on villains and hits them a little too hard. He's killing heroes and hiding their bodies.
Hmm.
Um,
So happy, light, fluffy Shazam, as far as in future state, is gone. The innocence, blowing bubbles and drinking soda pops, gone. This Shazam is dark, and I think it'd be nice to see Black Adam come and straighten him out, because Black Adam might be the light, fluffy, happy one in this group, which is saying something for Shazam fans.
yeah,
All in all, I really liked the comic. It was nothing like I thought it was going to be. Completely took me aback. But I want to see where it's going. So,
there were elements of it that I liked. Um, there were elements of it I don't like. What I think by this point we can understand that all of these future state comics do take place in the same universe. They're just at different points in the timeline of DC's future. So that means that basically every so often there are apocalyptic events that just mess everything up horribly for everybody who lives on Earth. And I mean, it just looks like the future of the DC universe gets worse as the further it goes down the line. And I'm getting a little weary of that, frankly. You know, what's the point of having superheroes if the world that they inhabit continually gets worse and they don't seem to make the future a place you want to live in?
well, one thing I'm trying to keep in mind is it looks like they said there's going to be infinite universes. This could be the future of a different universe.
Well, it could be the future of a different universe, but I don't think it's going to be. I think there are already some plans to make what you're seeing in this start to be the new norm. I think they're possibly setting up the whole magistrate thing in Gotham City, you know, sometime in Infinite Frontier. I don't know. It's just there's some interesting stories, there's some interesting characters, there's some interesting takes on things, but man, can you not just have some guys fighting villains instead of the entire world being a bleak place? Anyway, Danny, what'd you read for Future Shock this week, or Future State?
Well, considering I'm not so much the DC fan, I'm still picking and choosing on what I read. So I went with Future State Catwoman, and this sets up just like y'all were talking about. The magistrate is running everything. They are now going around and picking up masked vigilantes, or basically anybody with a mask on. They're picking up, and they're putting on a train and sending them to a reformation camp. So this particular train had all these mass vigilantes, like I said. The other half of the train is filled with kids. So it looks like to me that Catwoman is kind of leading this rebellion against the magistrate. So she has a contact, which is one of the kids on the train, to set up a train robbery, and where Catwoman is going to steal the whole train and try to keep it from going to this reformation facility. So she managed to get on, fighting all the guards and everything. But then there's a surprise, I guess, villain that is on the train that nobody knew about, and Catwoman ran into. And I hope I pronounce this right, but he is the onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia. Yeah.
Onomatopoeia, yes.
He's on the train.
That's a That's a Green Arrow villain. He started off in Green Arrow.
I saw where he'd been in Green Arrow. Okay. So Catwoman comes up with a deal with him to help her take over the train, and that's where they're at right now. So she's let him loose. They're both free on the train, and that's where it ended for now.
Oh, you're forgetting the big reveal at the end of that issue where Talia is also on the train and was undercover and
Oh,
maybe
that's right.
working
Yes.
with Selena, maybe she's not. But either way, Batman, the original Batman, Bruce Wayne, is on the train. So he's the big prize in this.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually, you need to read the next Batman that came out this week also, because it has some tie-ins that it's all starting to make a little more sense with the next Batman and the whole Gotham universe
Okay.
timeline.
Yeah, and it seems like Catwoman is leading her group to fight the magistrate. There's Eternal Robin, Spoiler, I can't. A bunch of Batgirls, former Batgirls, have got together. One of them was in prison, undercover, which was Spoiler. I mean, they've got a really intermeshed story.
Yes,
where everybody is leading their own form in front of attack.
Yeah, I really like the Gotham-based future state stuff a lot more than I thought I was going to like those, because they're all kind of consistent with how they work and who's in them, and even though some of them take place at different points in the time frame here, they make sense roughly together. Nightwing, did you read Nightwing, Paul?
Yes, I like
That was
Nightwing.
an excellent issue, and I think it was the one with the backup stories of the Batgirls and the Gotham as well.
Yeah, Spoiler was one of the Batgirls. What is her name? The Cassidy Kane.
Yeah, Cassie was the other one, and then Stephanie Brown, the spoiler.
Yeah, see, she's gone by Batgirl. I think she was by Orphan for a short amount of time there.
Yeah, and then the big reveal in that one is that they have Barbara Gordon hooked up to some kind of machine in the basement of Arkham, or that's not Arkham. It's some sort of.
It's not Arkham, but it's might as well be Arkham.
That Danny is talking about, that Catwoman was about to rob the train, taking them to this center. They show you the center in a backup story in Nightwing, and then Nightwing himself is inhabiting Arkham, because he's hiding out there. That's the last place they think to look for him. So.
Yeah, I like the Bat universe, the Titans, because it has Nightwing, which is tied in the Bat universe. Even the Shazam is tied into the Titans, is tied into the Batman universe. Right. So all these that are kind of meshed together like that, I've liked. Some of the others that are kind of on their own, not as much.
Or the Superman stuff. So this is the one I really wanted to focus on for the week. And I was very disappointed by the Superman Worlds of War. I was looking forward to it. The cover grabbed me. You and I talked about the whole look of like John Carter of Mars and stuff like that. It really looked like it was going to be an interesting issue. Looking at Superman as a cosmic hero was going to be an interesting take, but we don't get that. No. You got the nice cover, and you got a couple of panels late in the book and a couple of panels interspersed throughout. But the majority of this comic is about the people on Earth and how they remember Superman and what they kind of do with the fact that he's gone. There's those who are trying to make profit off of it, selling memorabilia in Smallville, aka New Krypton. There's somebody who started a religion based off Superman. There's a support group that sits around from all these people that were saved by Superman at some point, telling stories about him and, giving some of their opinions of what happened. That's fine and all, but it's like false advertisement. I thought I was going to get stories about Superman on Warworld or out in the universe, and I didn't get that at all.
I thought we might get the Hulk type thing, where he's at least a gladiator, and we sort of did, but we didn't get any action with that. It just
no.
Even the backup stories were not that great. I was hoping the Mr. Miracle would be the other Mr. Miracle, a Scott Free story, but it was this continuation of the first one, which I don't really have a problem with that Mr. Miracle, but I was looking for something else.
Well, yeah, this was their attempt, I think, to try to start weaving the Superman world, the future Superman world together, and it's not working nearly as well as the Batman universe is. I really was engaged with the next Batman #2. The first one I was kind of, maybe, but the second one was really good. The interplay between him and Nightwing was really good. Um, I think that was actually in the Nightwing issue, but
Yeah, I mean, I did the second next Batman. The next Batman has been okay for me. It's a take it or leave it story for me, but it set up all this other good stuff with Batman that I'm going to read it every week because it's given the next piece of the puzzle.
yeah,
So I like the Superman universe, not so well put together. The
not at
Batman universe, very well put together. The Wonder Woman universe is okay.
it,
I think it's better than Superman.
it definitely is. Wonder Woman, the Yara Floor stories is absolutely fantastic. Um, Immortal Wonder Woman, I don't know. I can take that or leave it. Superman, there's been nothing out of the Superman side of things that I've enjoyed even remotely at this point, except for maybe Superman Wonder Woman. That's mostly because
Yeah.
Superman was just a little more consistent with who he is, and Wonder Woman was Yara Floor. But the Superwoman, the Kara Zor-El Superwoman was terrible.
Yeah, that it was almost unreadable
They've
to
all
me.
been so disappointing. It's really strange how you've got a diverse team of people writing for the Gotham stuff, and it all seems to work pretty well together. And the other stuff is just kind of all over the place. I don't know. It was a mixed bag for me in week 3. I'm still reading. I want to see where all this stuff goes, but some
Yeah,
of this stuff has me intrigued. Some doesn't.
I'm waiting on some more #2s to come out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we'll get them next week. I'm looking right now. Dark Detective comes out next week. That will be a good one.
yeah. All the follow-ups, I think, to the first issues start next week. So, other than the next Batman, which already came out this week. Yeah. So, you know, King in Black versus Future State. There's no comparison. King in Black is this well coordinated event. Everything meshes together very well,
Yeah.
and Future State is a mixed bag of things that some of them just don't work at all, and some of them work pretty well as a mesh universe. All right, so we also promised to talk about some Image comics this week, and let me preface that by saying I haven't read a lot of Image over the last 10 or so years.
Been a long time.
Yeah, but I respect what Image is doing, because what Image is doing is Image is saying we want to do a lot of creator owned content where we give the creators the rights to the characters that they create, the worlds that they create. If they take it out and option it off to a network and get a movie out of it or a TV series out of it, that money goes to the creators. These guys are just the publishers, and that's a really rare thing. They are geared towards being a company that's made for creators to come and just experiment, tell the stories you want to tell with not a lot of oversight from Image to change those stories.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're going to get some really fantastic stuff, and you're going to get some not so really fantastic stuff.
It's hit and miss. Yeah.
It's absolutely hit and miss. There's some things that I've been singing the praises of, and then there's some stuff I'm not at all going to sing the praises of. Paul, let's start with you. What'd you read from Image this week?
7 to Eternity. I had started the series. They're up this week. Number 16 came out, but didn't make it that far because these comics, they remind me of some of the older X-Men in the fact, well, in a couple of different ways. One, every page has got this tiny print in it that's like multiple paragraphs. So once you've read one comic, you've done something. It's not just it's art with every part of the page that it can get some words in. There's some words. So you've read a lot, but it reminds me of the X-Men in the fact that there's a group of people that is separate from another group of people based on the powers that they have. And they used to protect man, used to protect the world. I won't say man. And now they're gone or kind of shunned or just they're kind of outcast. There's some of them are still, it seems to be still protecting the world at large, and they're hated and feared for it. So that's where the X-Men come in. But Seven to Eternity set in a far off, fantastical, kind of sci-fi fantasy world where you have humans and multiple other races and just really unearthly looking creatures and it almost has a feel of pioneer days, like the Oregon Trail of settlers going out and settling small towns versus big cities. And you have your people just trying to stay out in the West. I say the West, the outskirts of civilization to avoid civilization, avoid trouble, basically. And you have your big bad who is making plays, taking over the world, but there's one guy that just wouldn't leave him, would just pissed him off enough that he had to go way out in the West and the outside of town and outside of the world to have revenge on him, which sets off in motion his son, who's always dying. There's always somebody dying in these Western type stories of some, dysentery. He's got the dysentery of the lung on this, like people our age know about the Oregon Trail and how you never make it unless you do it just right because you die of dysentery. Well, this dude has got special powers and he's dying of lung cancer, dysentery, and he's trying to get revenge. And it's too much information for me to get into at the time we have. All I'll say is Seven to Eternity. It was recommended to me by Bryan. I was skeptical, started reading it. It does kind of hook you, and you want to know what's going to happen on the next issue, the next issue, the next issue. And it ends with a little cliffhanger every issue, so you want to keep going. So, of the Image titles I could have chose, I think I chose a good one because to read, and that's on Bryan's recommendation because there is a lot of not so good out there.
Yeah. Danny, what would you try reading?
Well, I went with Philadelphia, and it's a 12-issue limited series that actually the last issue came out. I think comes out later this month, maybe at the end of the month. And the artist on the book was Spawn's artist, Jason Sean Alexander. So I thought, well, it's got potential. But I didn't try to read anything into it. Didn't want to, spoil it. I just wanted to go into it and see what it was. So basically what it is, it's this cop from a small town. He comes back home to Philadelphia where he his father has died. He's a big famous detective in Philadelphia. So he comes back to the funeral. He gets to investigating his dad's death a little bit. And this guy he's just, a straight arrow, just a cop. He doesn't believe in, superheroes or anything like that, anything out of the norms. And the more he investigates, the more he finds that, Philadelphia is bad anyway for corruption and things like that, but it's gotten a lot worse. And it runs a lot deeper. And he comes to find out that, so maybe vampires are real. So this turns into kind of a vampire story.
Okay.
That's where this goes. So it has potential.
Yeah.
Not crazy. Not crazy about the artwork. But the story seems to be okay. It is a little wordy. So has potential.
Okay. All right. Oh, I may check that one out. I read two, and oddly enough, Paul read one of the issues that I read as well, and Danny read one of the issues that I read as well. and I think we all kind of had the same opinions of all of them. I tried to read The Scumbag. Um,
Oh, I looked into that. Yeah.
yeah, issue one. Like, it's an interesting premise. It really is. What happens if you take just an absolute scumbag and give him, super spy powers and superhero powers? Um, there's a lot of opportunity for comedy there and stuff, but it just really it went so far above and beyond with some of the gross out factors.
Yeah,
The
I didn't
split.
even make it past issue 1
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it was just I didn't want the guy to live. I didn't want him to make it. He was not a good character at all. The
yeah.
scumbag. They did a good job with naming it.
I think the story hurt a little bit because they had to go over top to show you how bad of a person he is. But I really don't think you had to.
You
You
didn't.
got the idea.
They didn't have to go that deep with it.
No.
There's a 2-page splash there that really just kind of did it for me. That ended the whole the comic. And you guys know.
I know the one you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. Nobody
No,
needs. The other one I tried to read was Reign of Hammers. It was the first issue. This the guy who wrote this gets a lot of praise. He has a lot of fans. I'll just be honest. If everything that he does is like this, I don't get it. I just don't get it. The art's interesting. It's unique. I'll give it that.
it's imaginative.
Yeah,
Story.
the whole thing is imaginative. I won't, bash it on that level. And the art's not bad. It's just different. But I have no idea what this story is about. And there was nothing that happened in this issue that makes me want to dig any deeper. It was, in a word, dull. It was just dull. I don't need to see intimate aspects of a guy's day-to-day life, like he's sitting in front of the TV watching TV and have, probably about 25% of the comic devoted to those type of scenes or more. It was just
it was the fact that he was in such a routine. He went to work, he had no life, he came home, he watched his favorite whatever show it was, and that's about all I got from it.
Yeah.
They live in cities that walk, which sounds interesting, but I couldn't even get that far. It was just boring, like I said.
Sounds interesting, but in reality, it wasn't interesting. He didn't do anything interesting with it, right?
And the artwork is really what I would call clean. I really don't know how to. It's just very clean. A lot of white, just black lines, and a little color used.
Yeah.
I think added to the poorness.
Yeah, there wasn't anything really of. I mean, there was some interesting design work in a few things, but again, it's like taking something cool, like the Razor Crest from The Mandalorian, and then like sticking it in the background and never doing anything with it, and surrounding it with just a bunch of vanilla things that all. It didn't go anywhere for me. It didn't do anything. Look, that's the danger. If you're going to show a lot of mundane things and that his life is boring, might bore the readers.
We get it. We get it.
Yeah, that's kind of where it ended up. I was bored by it. So I'm batting 500 right now with Image Comics. 7 to Eternity is fantastic. Black Science was fantastic. Both of those were written by Rick Remender, but that's not a guarantee of success because The Scumbag was also written by Rick Remender. So, not everything that comes out of the minds of great writers is going to be great either. So, too good, too bad. I don't know.
Me, for Image, I like Robert Kirkland stuff. I've read Image lightly for years because I've read the entire Walking Dead saga, which was good enough to make a TV show that was really good until they ended the series in the comics, and then there went the TV show. And he also did the superhero series Invincible, which was really good.
That was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I was an Image fan when Spawn was created, and love Spawn.
And there's still Savage Dragon. He's been going on for 28 years, and he's kept it in the real world. So, you know, his son is now Age of Superheroes.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff out there from Image. You just have to kind of be choosy, I guess, with what you read. Guys, we're going short on time, so we're going to kind of wrap it up there. We're going to be back next week. We'll talk more about all the King in Black tie-ins. We'll talk more about DC Future State, and we may throw in something oddball like maybe some Star Wars comics or even Firefly next week and talk about that. Paul and I will be back later in the week with another Paul's Pull List. So that's the news from us here at Tales from the Longbox. Tell them goodbye, Paul.
Stay classy, y'all.
See you next time, folks.